at all. It doesn't even, I never think about it. And I think that's just because I feel like I'm outworking other people. And it's through products like Deal Machine and HiveMind where you can continue to market to people over time and distance without ever having to think about it. So if I've already marketed, if I'm sending a postcard to 100 people or 200 people now, I got to check what the count is. I'm going to be talking to those people for all time already. So instead of thinking about those 100 people, I'm going to go find another 900. Right? Before I even worry about what the other 100 are doing. And I think that's where the magic happens. Marketing is cumulative. It's over time and distance. So when somebody says, what should I do about my marketing, blah, 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 I'm like, do whatever you're planning on doing for a year, right? And my game is, like I said, talk to as many people as possible.
But I want to get into your time and talking about your success. So tell me a little bit about how you got into real estate investing and to where you are like now. What did that journey look like?
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll try to give you the short of it. So I've been a contractor probably for about 20 years, but it was my dad's company. I've been doing that for a long time, general contractor.
Wow.
I was young. I thought I was going to be a famous boxer. And my dad's like, get in the truck, you're going to work. So, all right, whatever. Same thing, I guess. So with my dad's company, it was either like feast or famine. We either had a lot of work or we didn't have any work at all. Okay. So I started like tinkering with like marketing, trying to get us more business. Sometimes it was door knocking. I've tried mailers. I've done everything that I thought would work, right? Whatever generates business. So either we had way too much work or not enough. So that was kind of like my history. And then I would say about almost 15 years ago, I started messing around with online marketing. I started doing some pay-per-click, that kind of stuff. And I got really good at it. We generated so much business that we started like hiring all of our friends and family, still generating more business. So we started like subcontracting, more business coming in. So I started selling the leads off. I started just selling jobs. Like, hey, you just pay me, you take this job. So that's kind of, it led up to me doing commercial roofing, big contracts, $500,000 for a roof. And I kind of stuck with that niche for a little while. So I got to the point where I was looking to build a home. So I said, I wonder how I could buy some land, and get ready to build a house. Had never been a homeowner before. Never bought a house, never been to a closing, never been to a title company, nothing.
Oh, wow.
So I got on good old YouTube, right? And I searched, how can you buy land for cheap? How can you find cheap land? How can you buy, get a deal on land? And of course, lo and behold, I came across the term wholesaling. And I saw a video somebody made, said how to get land for free. And I'm like, this is interesting. So I went down the rabbit hole. And all these gurus kept on saying marketing. And I'm like, hey, I'm a marketing guy. What are they talking about? And then finally the light bulb came on. These guys were using marketing to generate property seller leads and then, monetizing those. So like all the like dots connected in my head. I'm like, I've been doing this, but I've been doing it in construction for a very long time. So I immediately just went like gung ho on marketing. I did everything. I started doing mailers, bandits. I absolutely everything. I think I did like 25,000 like in my first 45 days of marketing. Got my first contract.
My gosh, that is so much. When you said, listen, when we tell people to take action, you like took action. You just went.
Yeah, because I already knew what was going to happen. I feel like I had been doing marketing long enough to know that if you just generate a bunch of interest, some of it converts and some of it does not. So I said, let me get to a deal as fast as I can and see what happens and take it from there. And through those efforts, I thought I was going to be like a house flipper, right? Because you see the shows on TV and they make it look so simple, of course.
Oh yeah, and they look like you're just simple. And no, there's one problem, but don't worry, they're going to get over it.
$8,000 they remodel inside and out in 14 days. Like, yeah, right. So I got a lead in a place called Grandview, Texas. So this is like north, an hour south of Fort Worth, 45 minutes. And it was for a farm. It was for 46 acres. The lady gives me the price and I was like, man, it's probably not going to work for me. I saw that it was off I-35, which is the main vein that runs through Texas. I was like, okay, wait a minute. This is pretty interesting. Well, turns out I ended up making $85,000 on that lead. So I was like, I'm just going to stick to land, right? So I stuck with land as a niche. And I noticed that even though they were big deals, 50,000, 100,000 plus, they were few and far between. So I'm doing like 8 deals a year, 10 deals a year for my first couple of years. So I had this dream. I said, what if I could like teach the whole entire country how to find these very specific types of deals and then just JV with everybody? So that's how HiveMind was born. We created a CRM product, white labeled, and then we started inviting everybody to use it. We'll teach you how to generate high volume of leads, and then, hopefully we can JV with some of these people. It's working out great. There's almost 350 of us and climbing. So yeah, not too bad of a start, but that's where I'm at right now.
I love that. And you use Deal Machine?
Absolutely, yeah. So I have a fun deal machine story. So
Tell me. I love fun Deal Machine stories.
I have a cousin. He has a successful car dealership. It's off the side of the highway. So somewhere down the road, I'm into investing. That's all I do. I just invest. I don't take fancy vacations or anything. And I decided that I would like to have like a highway lot, so that I could buy stuff, cars, RVs, that kind of stuff, and park them on the side of the road. So this is Valentine's Day. I want to say it's been about 2-ish years, maybe 3. And I asked the wife, I said, do you want to go like to dinner and a movie? I said, or do you want to go find some commercial property? And she's like, let's go find the property. So I'm like, okay, cool. He twisted my arm.
Oh, love of your life. She knew. That's perfect.
She's just like me. She powers my madness.
I love it.
So we were driving down like 410 and I-35 on the south side of San Antonio in that area. And of course we got our deal machine open, right? We're ready. And I didn't know too much about the app. I hadn't gotten to the intricacies of it. I just knew that if I find a property I like, press the button and it throws them a postcard, right? That's all I needed to know. Say no more. And that's exactly what we were doing. So we were driving around to different properties, and when we found one that we would like, we press the button, boom, hit them with the postcard, and then I would never think about it again, right? Worst follow-up process ever. I would never look back in there. I'd never double check on it. We're driving down I-35, and my wife says, I think we saw one back there. She said, turn around. And I never saw the thing. Absolutely didn't see it, just driving. And we pulled over to this property that we thought was abandoned. We pull over to the side of the road. Looks kind of, the front yard looked a little messy. It looks like a really old house with 2 garages, one on either side of it. Beautiful house, like an old German house with nice, beautiful brick arches. Amazing property, but nobody had taken care of it. The roof was in really bad shape. You had some material blowing on top of the roof. So it looked like it might have been a tear down. But sure enough, that's our property, right? Break out the deal machine, boom, send the postcard, take the picture. And we left. Didn't think about it anymore. I would say this is where the magic of deal machine happens. This is what I love. We were at home in the kitchen, and my wife's phone rings, and it was the owner of that house. And she's like, hey, I think it's a lady from that property. So we start talking, and she said that, I said, ask her if she'll work with us on it, like make some kind of deal. And she said, yeah, why don't you come take a look at it? I'm in New York, I think she said. When I come down to Texas, I'll go walk the property. I'll show it to you. We'll check it out. Bang, hang up the phone. Like, okay, this is amazing. A lead that we got months ago, right? This is what I love about Deal Machine, is that it's cumulative, right? If you're sending out these postcards, they're sitting in somebody's drawer, they're sitting on somebody's table, they're sitting somewhere. So we went out, we met the seller at the property. She showed us, she gave us a grand tour. She said, okay, and I want 350,000. So me and my wife are like, we're not in a position to take out a loan for 350,000 for a side project, especially, right?
Right.
This is just something that we want to do as a side hustle. And she said, no, she says, you're going to help me and I'm going to help you. I was like, okay. And she stuck out her hand. I was like, okay, shake her hand. Let's do it then. She says she's willing to work with us. No closing, no anything. This is off the side of I-35. So there's like 60,000, 70,000 cars passing by in front of this thing per day. She says, I want you to put up your sign out here. She says, put a sign. I want you to start generating business just like this, like right away. She says, you can put up a sign right now. So I'm like, okay, again, no closing, no deposits, no nothing. So it was a residential property. I'm going to like try to file a variance with the city. I'm going to all these meetings. And she says, I'll go with you so I can talk in front of the city, right in front of the mayor, all these little people, this little town. And while we're there at the meeting, I showed her a picture of a house that I was buying subject to. And she goes, is this for me? And I said, it can be, beautiful 3,000 square foot brick home, white rock, all that stuff. We went to go see it. She fell in love with it. So what we ended up doing was a property swap. So we took this commercial property and this subject to house that I had no clue what I was going to do with, that I picked up for $4,000. And I gave her the house, and then she gave me the commercial property. So when I give her a free and clear deed to the house, she gives me free and clear deed to the property. So now I'm paying $2,000 a month all in for like a $500,000 commercial property. So I'm like, So I'm like, through Deal Machine, I got a $500,000 property for free in my mind.
That is the first I've ever heard of like a property swap. Just like, yeah, I think that's the first story I've ever heard of that.
Swap subject to wrap. I mean, it was just a crazy, crazy deal. It took my attorney a while to piece it together. I mean, the paperwork was like this thick.
So what would you say to someone? I'm sure that was quite overwhelming at first, like to go through that. So what would you say is something, what would you give advice to someone who's maybe like, it's overwhelming. They're like, I don't even know where to start with this. It's getting so complicated.
I would say don't think about anything. Be ignorant like I was. Download the app, take pictures, send the postcards. Just do it. Start using it over and over and over again. Again, because you don't know if you're winning or not unless you use it over time and distance. And sure enough, yeah, it paid off huge for us. We actually leased out that property and it's cash flowing $900 a month right now, the commercial property. So now I'm getting a commercial property for free, using Deal Machine. So I say use it over and over again. Even if you don't know it's working, it is cumulative. I'd say take a year and send the postcards, skip trace, call the numbers, call the people, make the deals, but it 100% works. Yeah, we're big time believers in it.
I appreciate that. But I love that you said, I'd love to, because I also send out mail marketing. And you're so, I experienced in marketing. And I think I love that you said that, because I think a lot of people get discouraged, by, month after month, not hearing anything, the phone's not ringing. 2 questions about your strategy. So you guys send out the mail. How many times do you have it repeating?
I just left it on repeat. I think we put it every 90 days or something like that.
Okay.
But indefinitely. Yeah. So
Definitely.
just leave it on, because in my mind, if you're that interested in a property, like for us to have stopped in the first place and press send, well, it's obviously something that we were interested in and something that we loved. And then in my mind, those people aren't on any list, right? I'm in the list business. My partner has a list company called the List Guys. And that's just not really like how I do marketing. So I think that these people that we are marketing to using Deal Machine, they're not on anybody's list. And that's something that not a lot of people are thinking about. Fat chance that property is on somebody's list. That's why it's still in the condition that it's in. So it's a very unique property, but I think, again, it's cumulative. It's about going about after that property over time and distance, less so than just throwing that one magic dart and then you hit it right on the money.
They talk about the spray and pray, that method a lot. But when people, I think you make such a good point, because when people start out, they don't always have like the biggest budget. And so having that niche list of properties that you only have, I feel like that's going to save you money then too. You're not just like spraying it out and hoping. You actually know that there has to be some sort of distress in it and motivation somewhere.
Yeah.
So how does your team look like now? Like, I know you said you went on a date with your wife to go do that, but now what does driving for dollars look like? How do you make sure that you're getting the leads in consistently?
Me personally, since I'm always running around looking at real estate, we're kind of doing the same strategy. Like when I see something, we just pull over and send the card and just make it happen every single time. Yep. And then again, like I said, like my follow-up game is kind of weak. If it wasn't for HiveMind, I wouldn't have any follow-up game at all. And then with Deal Machine, it's kind of the same thing where you set it and forget it. So that's something that like, I feel like I could use that for the rest of my life. It's just how I operate.
That's the easiest thing and I love that you said that, because I am the same way. That's why mine are on for forever, because I'm just like, I know they're getting followed up. I just don't need to forget about it. So it's like peace of mind, anxiety gone. That they're seeing you. So what do you have a specific, like a favorite postcard to use, or do you just use the default postcard?
Yeah, the default is very, very simple. Again, like keeping it, not getting complicated or anything. I think the real magic happens because they see that picture of their property on the postcard and they're like, what the heck? This is my property. Why is somebody sending me this? So it's going to make you read it. I want to find the text. Maybe we can put it in the show notes. I would like to find the text, what we put on that postcard, but I forgot exactly how we worded it, but it's just all pretty basic. It's like the way that it comes out of the box absolutely works. We didn't get fancy at all.
Okay. I love that. And yeah, I think the biggest thing people get hung up on are those little tiny things, and then the action isn't taken. So I love that you're like preaching that and taking that out to people. Cause I just feel like that's the biggest thing. Everyone says, well, what's the words that I should say? And it's like, you should just say whatever's on there, or like, you can just easily write a letter type thing to somebody. Like, it doesn't have to be super fancy. Okay, so in the San Antonio market, I mean, Texas in general, I feel like is just very competitive, or I've heard people say, oh, I'm not going to send out mail marketing because that doesn't work in Texas because everyone's getting mail marketing or something like that. What would you say? How many postcards do you feel like are sent average to get a deal? Have you found?
We haven't done the numbers on that. And again, because like my brain has always been wrapped around doing a ton of deals, right? So if I can quantify it and say, hey, for every 100 postcards you send out, you get a deal, then I would be stuck to that. But I'm like, let's send out 10,000 postcards, right? And let's get a ton of deals, like a whole load of them. I would say this to anybody that thinks that, sending a postcard or sending mail does not work. Stop marketing to the inner part of the city. So if you take your city, it's like this, right? This is the city of San Antonio in here. Market to this out here. And that's been where the magic happens, because nobody's talking to those people because people are lazy. So nobody's driving out there. So I want you to grab your Deal Machine app, open it up, drive all the way to the edge of town. And so you start to see farms, 5, 10-acre farms, 20-acre farms, even if you have to drive out 30, 45 minutes or an hour, and market in that area and watch what happens. I promise you that's where the magic is. It's less about, it's funny too, because right, they say Texas is very competitive, and that has not been my experience. And I only know how to do deals in Texas, right? I'm learning other states, but this is my primary market. So I don't believe in market saturation at all. It doesn't even, I never think about it. And I think that's just because I feel like I'm outworking other people. And it's through products like Deal Machine and HiveMind where you can continue to market to people over time and distance without ever having to think about it. So if I've already marketed, if I'm sending a postcard to 100 people or 200 people now, I got to check what the count is. I'm going to be talking to those people for all time already. So instead of thinking about those 100 people, I'm going to go find another 900, right? Before I even worry about what the other 100 are doing. And I think that's where the magic happens. It's marketing is cumulative. It's over time and distance. So when somebody says, what should I do about my marketing, blah, 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 I'm like, do whatever you're planning on doing for a year, right? And my game is, like I said, talk to as many people as possible.
Yeah, no, I think that's really important. And I mean, I love that you're saying even to a year, because you just don't know. I've had leads call me after a year, and like you said, they keep it on their fridge, or they keep it on now. Yeah. Oh, we get all the time. And I want to know how you handle this. And I'm sorry, I'm asking you 20 questions.
No, that's what we're here for, right?
But I have to ask, so you were talking about like the picture of the house makes a difference. When someone calls you and they are done PO'd at the fact that you took a picture of their house, how do you respond?
I come from an area of concern, and then also praising them, making them feel good, because they call you, they're lit, they're going to be mad, they're expecting an argument. I call them and say, it's such a beautiful house. And I saw that the windows are boarded up, and I'm a roofer. It looks like you have a roof leak, on the front of the house where the shingle's missing. And I can tell that the wood's kind of deteriorating. I'm just wondering how such a beautiful house got into this condition, And it brings them way down, like, oh, whoa, it was my mom's house, and that, and boom, 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 boom. So easy from there. But if you don't engage them in an argument and you come from a place of praise, even if it's an empty lot, that's a beautiful piece of property, like in a nice area. And I'm the grass is 6 feet high. I'm just kind of curious, like, how does the property get into that condition? I'm just curious. So if you come from a place of curiosity, instead of, I'm an investor and I buy this stuff, and why'd you let your house and whatever, I think, again, like being empathetic with people and that stuff goes a long way. Yeah. And you'll see people turn on a dime. I had a lady tell me that my house is not for sale. None of my properties are for sale. I'll never sell anything. And I said, hey, look, I know you said you'll never sell. This is like in the same breath. I said, but if you were going to sell, how much would you ask? And she says, I wouldn't take a penny less than 65,000. And I said, when can you show it to me? She was like, can you meet Tuesday? So within like 6 or 8 sentences, she went from I'll never sell to I'll meet you Tuesday.
I can't believe that was all in the same breath that happened. Like the fact that I'm like, to me, she threw out a number. I would have, if I was saying that, I'd be like, didn't you just hear me? I said, I'm not selling. But no, she just throws out a number. I guess it goes to the fact of like, you don't know unless you ask, I guess.
Yeah, and I think like again, don't engage an angry person with anger or wit, right? And we try to be funny, and sometimes when somebody's PO'd, we try to say these cool things that we heard somebody else say. But I think getting all that out of your head and just being a genuine person, like I said, and that's something maybe they didn't expect. They're used to like yelling at people that market to them, and then when you say, "Hey, I'm just kind of curious," I love that house. It's an amazing house. I drive by it all the time. How did it get in that condition? And then they go to a different spot in their brain probably that they've never been before, like then they go deep a little bit, like, well, it's been in my family forever, that's why we don't want to sell it. And then also I always do this too, I always offer to be a resource. So again, like, this is not me trying to sell a contractor job, because I'm doing like zero contracting now except for my own projects. But I'd be like, I have a guy that can work on the roof for probably next to nothing, and if you can't afford it, or something you don't want to put money into, I might get him to do it for free, maybe for $50 if you bought the material. I'm just, matter of fact, just keep my number, count on me as a resource. If there's something I can ever do for you, you have my number now. This is my cell phone. You're welcome to call it 7 days a week, that kind of stuff. So leading people off on a good note, no matter what they say or no matter what kind of attack they have, I think that can always go a long way, no matter what, even outside of business. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. So they not only have your physical postcard, but you're telling them to save your number and that's what I love about the marketing, is that if someone says, save my number, I may not save it right there, but if I have that physical copy, it's like your business card that they can hold on to.
Yep.
I think that's wonderful. And I love that. I love how you respond to that, because I have done like the witty thing sometimes of like, oh, well, it's public. I'm on the street. Like, it's not a bad thing that I'm taking. I'm not a creeper, I promise.
Yeah.
But I love that approach, because they most likely are in a very vulnerable position, and you have to, adhere to that. And I love that. That's so great. I love, man, I wish I was in San Antonio right now, because this would be so much fun to get together. And I had another question and I just lost it.
You'll get it back in a few seconds when we change subjects.
Yeah, I'm getting so much good information. I do want to know, so where are you at now? I know you said you have a lot of projects going on.
Mhm.
Are you building a portfolio? Are you flipping? Like what does that look like for you now? I know you said you were doing 8 to 10 deals. You wanted to do more. What does that look like?
Yeah, so now leveraging the community with HiveMind, and of course now we're rolling out Deal Machine to the community. Yeah, but now we're doing like starting to get like 10, 12 contracts a month and climbing. Yeah, so yeah, it's going crazy. I'm just starting to hang on to stuff. So like I said, we got the sub 2 house. We have I bought a little tiny mobile home park with 3 units on it. We have the dealership. We're closing on a 5,000 square foot office today that we're going to turn into like an Airbnb / co-working space, and then we're going to office out of it. But yeah, now we're starting to hang on to stuff. I bought 180 acres, subdivided it, sold a bunch of those off, and so I still have some acreage from there. I have 1,000 acres under contract in Texas. It's 2 hours south of San Antonio. So I'm going to start to sell off a lot of that, seller finance some of that stuff. So that's kind of my game now. I'm looking for acreage like 50 to 100 acres to 1,000 acres plus within like 30 minutes to an hour of any major Texas city. But if it goes over like 1,000 acres and over, then I'll look almost anywhere in Texas. It really depends, as long as it's not like in the middle of the desert. But that's where I'm at now. I'm starting to accumulate a lot of land.
I love that. And did you find your land for your house that you wanted?
We found the one that we wanted, 600,000. So
right.
Yeah, I want it. We want it. I'm still going after it, but like I said, I'm piecing together all these other cool deals and moving around resources. So if we don't find something better, then that's the one I want. Yeah, because we could use the front as commercial and then build the house in the back, and it's surrounded by farms and it's like secluded, crazy. Like it looks like it will never get developed around us based on where the house would sit. So
that sounds like a dream.
Absolutely amazing.
I love that. And that is my dream. I want like a little tiny farm. But I actually would love to, and this is I really appreciate you coming on here and talking to me about all of this. And I know that you have meetings as well. I'm trying to be very cautious of the time. I'm so glad we got to connect, and don't be a stranger. Definitely follow up. And I'll send you the link too for the webinar.
Okay. Yeah. Count me in. Awesome. I appreciate everything. Thanks for having me on.
Of course. Have a good one.
You too. Thanks. Take care.